Welcome back to Sunrise. Today we still have Mr. Mike Omeri here with us. He's the coordinator of the National Information Center. And we're taking a look at questions and issues concerning the security situation we've got on our hands. Well, let's continue from where we left off in terms of cooperation from our neighbors. You say that meeting was initiated by the president. But why did it take that long? Why did we have to even hold the meeting in France, for instance?
Don't forget, before then, the president had visited Mali, has visited most of these countries to solicit support in the fight against insurgency. So it was a number of proactive steps had earlier been taken by the government of Nigeria. What we needed was to have the entire team together. There was the need to also get international support and partnership. So if the venue doesn't really matter if you're able to get what you need to get in the fight against insurgency. And besides, terrorism is global. So meeting in France, meeting in Paris, meeting in Cameroon, in Nigeria or London, because there are so many other meetings that took place outside Paris, in England, in South Africa, and so forth and so on. So it didn't take that long, because as soon as, even before the seriousness of Boko Haram insurgency was established here, the president had taken proactive steps to get his brother heads of states together with a view to finding or fashioning out a strategy of action that will combat incursion into their territories and helping to stop and stem the movement of people and persons whose intent is to escalate, the crisis.
What are some of the concrete, will I say, decisions that we have taken action on, or we can say concrete results that came out of that particular conference, aside the reassurance, so to speak, from the other countries that they will cooperate? Have we seen that level of cooperation we desire as a result of these meetings?
Oh yes, and that is why I mentioned earlier the Regional Intelligence Fusion Unit was created as a fallout of that meeting, direct fallout of that meeting, and that unit is based in Abuja for information sharing and operational purposes. Also, a multinational force was established where all these countries contributed a number of troops to operate along the corridors, with a view to stopping insurgency in its track.
Yeah, but was that successful? Because,
oh, yes.
Months after that report came that MGTF had been put in place, you were having reports of recruitment from Niger, how they moved from here to Niger and back.
Reports also had it that Cameroon had repelled, had fought, had captured, insurgents that had attempted to move into its territory from this part. So if isolated cases of movement occur, it does not mean that no concrete steps, or successes have been recorded as a result of that partnership. And the people who, this may have been before the partnership was formed. Of course, yes, reports have indicated some foreign elements within the team in Nigeria. They were captured about 3 weeks ago by the armed forces at the Balmo forest. So you cannot rule out, for every general rule, like they say, there are exceptions. So you could find exceptions in that direction, but it's not to say that it's not working at all.
Okay, but before that meeting that held in France, were we getting the support of Cameroon?
Well, that is diplomacy, and I wouldn't really want to discuss that. Cameroon is a sister African country. It's right here. We share a lot of things together, and whatever is that Cameroon was doing was in the best interest of its security situation.
What about because we will always keep budgeting and see how we can improve security in this country. One of such things that has happened in time past is acquisition of the CCTV.
Yes.
Is it working in Abuja?
Well, the last time I had a discussion with the Honorable Minister, he said some of them were working, and there are a few challenges here and there that have been sorted out. And I know, now I'm talking about CCTV, because I remember at the center advising Nigerians, especially those who have the capacity, those who have shops, and houses along routes to also install CCTV in their houses. I'm serious about it because this is what happens everywhere in the world. And where it's not like government abdicating its responsibility. After all, in some situations, CCTV are meant to generate revenue. In the city of London, CCTV generates revenue. Where it is not able to generate adequate revenue, it's shut down. And citizens are install theirs in their homes. And where there is need, they are requested, or they can even be subpoenaed to bring recordings of their...
But you know, there are reports everywhere that the CCTV that was installed were first substandard and they are not functional. Is that true?
I wouldn't say that, but I know that has come to the attention of authorities, and it's being looked at with a view to correcting whatever situation is. And I wish the Ministry of Police Affairs that is in charge of this would give us more light on it, and I'm sure they will do.
Do they plan to extend it to other areas, remote areas that are not being covered?
Yes, as far as the public areas, public spaces are concerned.
You know, we're talking about your activities at the NOA, the National Orientation Agency, much earlier, and you did say that you've had meetings, you know, with a couple of people in areas that had experienced some crisis, and, you know, work was going on. But, you know, when people talk about the National Orientation Agency, some of the things that they associate with such an agency is being able to have catchy slogans and, you know, perhaps some jingles that easily come to mind when you talk about a particular agency. Is your agency looking towards a particular area, or is work ongoing that we're not aware of?
Well, I don't know where you want to push me to, but I can hazard a guess. First, we came with the concept of doing the right things, do the right things to transform this country, because that is the basic. If all of us choose to do the right things today, imagine in this place, you would imagine the change that will take place. And following from that, we had implemented a number of strategies along that line. We launched Do the Right Thing, Keep to Time, Do the Right Thing, Plant a Tree, Do the Right Thing, do the right things. But it is not enough. We need jingles, we need airtime. If I come to channels now, give me airtime as part of corporate social responsibility, channels will have to go back to a big board to decide the propriety of my request. And so same goes for NTA, although NTA has been quite supportive for obvious reasons. But most of these channels will demand that I pay a lot of money. Media buying is expensive. And we are hampered by some logistic constraints. But that situation is being addressed, and you will see us more very soon. Okay. Especially that, you know, the last time I spoke with AIT, with channels, I got some assurance that once I bring jingles that are related to what is happening in the country, they will try to find a space for me.
But what about that complaint that media persons have, that they reach out to information officials and they're not usually that forthcoming? They prefer to speak to the international counterparts than themselves. Have you heard that before? Before
I joined this, as a journalist, I've always complained about this tendency. Even now, I do so, because we have appropriate channels, platforms that can be quoted by international media. We have the channels of this world doing a fantastic job, and other media. So if you break stories here, the international media can quote this as a credible Nigerian source of information. We see it on CNN. We see them quoting other, you know, local stations for their news. Well, we have had issues with, you know, getting information. Yes, I agree. Admit that there is a difficulty sometimes in getting information from public sources, and that is being addressed. And that is why today, even on my table, we have written to respective ministries to be furnishing the National Orientation Agency with specific information of their progress, achievements, and things happening in their sectors. Also, the Federal Ministry of Information has a web page for that purpose, so that where you are not able to get the official, you can easily go to the website to, get the information.
It's interesting you come up with that, because the Federal Ministry of Information, I'm aware, has a current campaign ongoing on air in terms of how it's supposed to be easy now to get information, any information you desire at all, because of the Freedom of Information Act that has been passed, and it's from any agency, and this is supposed to be corruption-free. I think that, for many people, that was the strongest import of that particular message, that you do not have to pay for any information.
Yes.
So they have that currently ongoing. But you say it's still a little difficult to get information from some of these agencies.
No, but if you apply the normal processes, if you needed to even apply the dictates or provisions of the Freedom of Information Act, it works for you still. The difficulty is not, sometimes it's the availability of the individual to give the information. It's not that the information is not available or someone is unwilling to give the information. So to make it easier, we are creating a number of social spaces or conversation areas where information can be put in there for easy access to the people.
What was the latest development in Damboa?
Well, as at this morning, I don't have any update, but from what has happened in the last 1 week, a number of strategies are being put in place. I tried to reach the Director of Defense Information. He has been meeting, they have been meeting with their teams with a view to coordinating activities and action of support in that area.